Right. So, hello everyone. This is Deepti Singh. Today we have our first guest on MJI Talent Tour 2022. So, TeranceShipman, he's an educator and author. So, Terence, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Really good
Okay.
day.
All right. So, we'll start by a little introduction for our viewers. So if you would like to go ahead and give us a little background for yourself so that we can move forward.
Okay. I'm Terrence Shipman. I've been an educator now for 28 years. I taught everything from kindergarten up to 8th grade and been a part-time administrator. I'm currently also an author. I have children's books out. Mr. Shipman Kindergarten Chronicles, and latest book, my wife and I wrote, My Head Young Malcolm.
Right.
So I do a little bit of both.
Okay. All right. So how long have you been a teacher? You said 20 years, right?
28 years.
28 years?
No, 28. No, I hope not to get to 38.
No. Okay. No, it's a long time. Were you doing anything before that? Before you?
No, I came straight out of college.
Okay.
I got my bachelor's from Tuskegee. I went straight from my bachelor's to my master's at Hampton University. And as soon as I graduated from Hampton, I started teaching.
Okay.
1994.
So that's awesome, right? That's awesome. Where are you located currently?
You said to retire?
Where are you located?
Well, I'm located in Ellenwood, Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
I'm probably 15 minutes out of Atlanta.
Okay. And you teach kids from kindergarten to 8th grade, you said, right? So it's basically elementary and middle school.
Yes.
Okay. So what do you love most about teaching? What is your favorite part about being a teacher? You have been a teacher for a long time.
I think just the sheer joy of seeing somebody get it, when you teach them something and they come back to you later and you see it in their eyes and it's like, I got it. I learned it. You taught somebody something. It's nothing like that feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an awesome feeling. I wish as a parent or as a teacher, that's the greatest feeling, I think, when our little ones come to you for any kind of guidance. Mm-hmm. Is teaching your dream job? Would you like to be somewhere else if you would have not been a teacher or an educator?
Actually, my dream job coming out of high school was to be a photographer. So it went from between being a photographer to filmmaking. Some kind of way I got into teaching. But I still dabble in a little bit of both. I still do photography and I still every once in a while make some videos.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Photography is also a very creative job. It's not an easy job to be a photographer and capture pictures. All right. So if you are given a chance, since you have been in the education system for last 20 years, right? So do you ever think, given a chance, I would want to change something in the education system, since you have experience with the little kids to the 8th graders, right? It's a vast variety, a vast age group that you work with. So is there anything that you think we need to change with the education system, or?
It's a lot, but I'm gonna keep it simple.
I know.
It's something I call the triangle.
Yeah.
For a child to be successful in school, it takes the school, the parent, and the child.
Yeah.
We need to stop. If one piece of that triangle is not working, then you don't have a triangle.
Correct.
All three parts have to be working together. And I think everyone needs to get buy-in to that, because sometimes you don't have buy-in from the teacher. So you don't have buy-in from the parent or the child.
Right.
At some point, all three pieces need to come together for that child to be successful.
Correct.
That's the only thing. That's one of the things I change.
So so you come across scenarios where kids don't get full support from school or from teacher, like one of the triangle is missing. That's
Right.
what, okay. All right. So I know kindergartners, I won't say they are easier to handle. I have kids of my own, I know. So how do you answer
Okay.
questions? How do you answer questions to a kindergartner? Sometimes they ask questions out of the blue, right? And we are out of answers. How do you answer questions, right? I know it's not right to leave a child or a little one with the open-ended question, right? So uh, how do you answer those questions?
I think the best way sometime is you have to not think as an adult. Um, just try to answer the question as best as possible. And if you don't have an answer, it's okay to let the child know that you're human. Say, hey, let me think on this for a minute, and I'm gonna either get back with you later today, or I'm gonna have an answer for you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best answer.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes we just say, because I said so, or because it is like that. I know we, as parents or as caretakers also, or people who work as caretakers like nannies and stuff, right? We end up having questions like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you end up in the classroom setting? I'm pretty sure you end up having situations where there are conflicts between various children or various kids, right? And I won't say it is, I know I have seen my son growing up from kindergarten, he's in ninth grade today. I know that we always have conflicts, right? So how do you resolve conflicts? Sometimes you do not want the parents to be involved, right? I know as educators you do let the parents know this happened, but at your end, how do you resolve conflicts so that the classes or the sessions go without any issues?
I formed strong relationships with my students from the very first day of school, and make having those relationships help keep down the conflicts in the classroom. Um, I have probably have the same set of rules that I've had for 28 years on my wall. Like one of my biggest rules we have in my classroom is no name calling. Everybody knows that.
Right, right.
You know, as soon as you step into my classroom, you're in a safe haven. That's your safety place. And I'm going to make sure you're safe. And I know people say, I'm the biggest bully in there. No more bullies. You come in my class, I'm going to make sure you're safe and that you're
Yeah.
able to learn. And I think that keeps down a lot of problems. And just talking to them, asking them out the blue, hey, how you doing today? What you do last night? Just having that close relationship with them. Even if you don't, they still have to know I'm in here to learn.
Yeah.
Have fun, but learn.
Right, right. All right. So, what would you advise specifically the middle schoolers, right? I know there is a great cultural difference once the kids go out of elementary school to middle school,
Mhm.
right? And mostly people say that's the time when they make or break their character, or they come out of their comfort zone, or they make build up their character, right? So what would be your advice to kids who are transferring from elementary to middle school, coming from a
I,
teacher, right? What would you advise them?
make sure you have a strong foundation in elementary. Uh, I'm teaching fifth grade this year, and in Georgia we go sixth to eighth grade for middle school.
Yeah.
So one of the things I'm trying to make sure that my sixth graders do is be prepared, know how to take notes, how to be a professional student. I said, you've been in school since kindergarten. You're already a professional student.
Right.
But I need to fine tune this. So when you go to middle school, this is what it's going to be expected. Know about grades. A lot of students in elementary don't even know about grades.
Right.
You know, they don't even how you look at your grades. Do you know how to get access to a report card? They don't know. They don't know the power of a zero or not failing. I think we have gotten into a position the last, especially since the pandemic, where we're just placing kids. We're not
Right.
retaining them.
Right.
So
Right.
we have to let them know, hey, this is going to catch up with you sooner or later. I need you to really turn this work in. Do it, you know, on
Yeah.
time. Don't
Yeah.
bring it 2 days late and say, well, my mama said we didn't do this. Well, did you ask me? I could have gave you a poster board, but just don't take a zero. Do the work.
Right. And same, I'll ask you, what would be your advice for the parents also, right?
Yes.
So people like me, right? I'll give you like coming from me. Uh, we didn't grow up in this education system, right? It was a total different education system we grew up in, right? So uh, it's little different for us. So what would be your advice for the parents who are transferring from elementary to middle school? There's a great difference in the culture of the school itself, right?
Yeah. Well, with your sixth grader, still keep tabs on.
Yeah,
Realize keeping you, let them go a little bit in experience school, but you still have to be that parent. Still check homework. Still have conversations with them. I think one of the ways my sons and daughters we had a great relationship was every day, no matter what, when they got in the car, ask them, "Well, how was school today?" I know everybody.
yeah,
You ask
yeah,
how they were doing? No, that's how they were doing. How was school today? What did you learn? So they knew as soon as they get in the car, okay, he's gonna ask this question.
right,
So yeah. So just continue that relationship no matter what.
right,
But I'll give all parents a warning. I taught seventh grade. I know this is a little bit off question. When they get in seventh grade, they're gonna totally lose their mind. It's
right,
okay. All right.
right. I
Especially
know.
the second half of the year, come spring, you will not know that child anymore. Seventh graders are the worst.
Right.
Now when they get in eighth grade, they get a little bit better. Seventh grade, just fair warning.
I totally agree. I totally get that. And with COVID, it was way worse, right? With COVID, everything being virtual, it was totally out of control. All right. Uh, I think we should move on to your part of your personality as an author, right? So you're an author as well. I know in the beginning of your introduction, you said you have written several books. So the latest one is Mahalia and Malcolm, right? The Adventures of Mahalia and Malcolm. How do you feel about it?
I love it. I've been to read all the reviews has just been fantastic. People are like been wanting this. They're like, God, this is great. Uh, to hear comments like people say, this need to be a movie, or I can't wait to the next book. What's going to happen next? It was like,
Yeah,
and it's not really more. You see superhero books or movies, and it's so much concentration on the power. This is not a really concentration on the power. It's concentration on family, love, and you see that, and people feel it, and they see it, and they feel it. And it's about the relationship of, hey, something happened to my grandfather, and my other grandfather said he did it, and I don't even know this man, and my grandmother's going to go get him. We got to go help her. And it's just, that's the beauty of it. It's like, no matter what, she told us to go here, but I don't care. We're going to go help my grandmother.
I'm going to get a copy after we get off the interview right now. I'm getting excited about it
Yeah.
just by listening to you. Okay,
Mhm.
so what inspired you to be an author? Right, I know
Um,
you. Yeah, you are an educator. What
right.
inspired you to take something extra on?
Um, 5 years ago, when this all started, because this is our 5th-year anniversary, um, we were sitting around one summer. Now my wife, she was my girlfriend then, but she's my wife now. And I just said, these stories these events that happen in kindergarten keep coming up. Every time I meet some of my former students, they're always talking about what we did. And I say, hey, I need to put this on book. We need
Mm-hmm.
to share these stories with people. And it's really been fantastic. Yeah. And so that was the catalyst. I started sharing Mr. Shipman Kindergarten Chronicles.
So your all books are kids books, right? They are around kindergarten or about field day or
Right.
right, right. So are you planning to write something for the older generation as well, or you want to just focus on kids?
Well, Malcolm and Mahalia is the crossover book for me.
Yeah.
That's the one that's kind of late elementary, middle school. It's that Harry Potter age, as I say. Uh,
Okay.
and a lot of adults like it. I am planning on writing 2 books for adults. One is on how to publish a book from a minority standpoint, because it's different. And I know it's a lot of books up there. I've read a lot of them. I trained myself and watched videos and read blogs on how to publish books and tried some of those ideas.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't work in a minority community. You have to have a different perspective on how to market your books, how to go out to your audience. It's different. And because I have such a strong faith base, my one book that I've been working on, haven't put out yet, would be on a daily faith, daily sayings. And my son, he was like, "Okay, Dad, I see you put these out every day, but can you do a little explanation with them?" I said, "Perfect. That's a great book to put out."
Uh-huh.
So it'd be 365 days of faith.
Okay. So do you have a website where we can find the books, or they are available in paperback in the book, paperback books in the bookshops? Like I can go to the Barnes and Nobles and buy it. It'll be available there.
Okay, so the best spiel is first place. I always tell people go to my website,
Okay.
www.TeranceShipman.com. If you just Google my name, it pops right up. That's the first thing there.
Uh-huh.
At the website, you get an autographed copy. And this month we are running a discount, a Black History Month special. We are everywhere. We're in Amazon, Walmart, Barnes and Noble, online, not in the stores.
Okay.
When it comes to, that's part of the thing I want to put in the books about bookstores. Say if I went to a private bookstore here in Atlanta and one of my books in there, you had to split the cost.
Right,
And
right.
yeah, it had to be 60-40. So when they sell the book, they take 40%, they give you 60. But you supply them with the book. To me, that's not fair. So I'm giving you my book to sell, and you're only gonna give me, I paid for my book.
Right.
You're not making any money.
Right.
So
Removing
yeah.
the middleman. I think that's the best way to do a business in any area, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So you are writing books about children. So I think children are your inspiration to write the books, or there is anybody specific inspiration that inspired you to start writing? I know you mentioned about your wife and
Um, no, that was it. I mean,
that
just
was it. That was
the
it.
inspiration came from just wanting to get all those stories out, all those experiences of over the years of teaching kindergarten for 11 years.
Right.
Just want to
Right.
share it with everyone.
So a little personal question. So what is writing to you? When we talk to different authors, it means different things to them, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just about a love of writing. Some people link it to spirituality. So what is writing for you?
Uh, it's like bringing something to life. It's nothing like it.
Bringing something to life.
Yeah, uh, I walk around with a story in my head for maybe sometimes weeks, sometimes months. And then all of a sudden I grab a pencil and paper, and within either I write it in one day or 2 days. I just have to get it out. It's like I go through it's going in my head, and I'm like, I have to get the story out now. I'm ready.
Okay.
So I make sure that before I put it on paper and pencil, it's going through my head for either weeks or months.
Okay. All right. So what do you do other than being an educator and an author, right? Everybody has other stuff to do, other hobbies. So what are your
Uh,
favorite pastimes?
Fantasy football.
Football.
No, I play fantasy, all fantasy sports, but fantasy football is like the biggest. I'm playing right now fantasy basketball and hockey, and waiting for baseball season if we have one because of this strike lockout. So yeah, that's one of the things I like to do. I exercise and try to stay in shape. And we just closed on a house today, so I'm super excited.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Very
Thank you.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of things coming in the pipeline. Closing
Yes.
a house, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, right? A lot of things come around with it.
Mhm.
Okay. So how does family fit into all this? I know these are repetitive questions, but I just want to still ask. I know you are inspired by your family, or whatever you are doing, they are all centric towards family values. but how does family fit into all this, right? I know being an educator, it takes a lot of time. You have to prepare for the next day. You have to prepare for the lessons. Then being an author, you said you keep on working about a story in your mind. So how how do you fit your family into all this?
We usually get together. My sons, all of them are grown. So yeah, he's grown too, but he's in school. I have one in, yeah, have three in school. Well, four. My daughter's in law school. So usually we try to get together on the weekends or one day, at least twice a month.
Yeah.
Or they will just pop up at the house.
Yeah.
Or a conflict. We have the men's chat. So daily we chat on there. We have a text group where we make sure we keep in touch with each other.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I know electronics and I think WhatsApp and group chats have made conversations little easier, but I don't think they can be a replacement of physical communication that we have with each other, right? Because it's totally different than how it is on texts.
Right.
Okay, so I know we talked about your future plans also. So anything concrete coming in? I know you mentioned that you have other volumes of Mahalia and Malcolm coming up, right? But other than, do you have plans to take it to the movie level? Are you thinking about it?
Not now. If somebody approached me with the right deal, I've always say I have to be approached with it has to be right.
Right.
Well, we still have control of a lot of the rights to it. Right now, my wife and I are going to write. The story is there for book, actually the next 5 stories, but for book 2, the story is there. This summer, we're going to really put it in shape, write it. For Mahalia Malcolm, it takes almost anywhere from 6 months to get ready.
Okay.
Because it's a different kind of book. It's a hybrid, I call it, between a graphic novel and a chapter book. So, because there's a lot of pictures. So we have to have time to write the story out, give it to the editor, get it back, send it back and forth. And then I have to give it to the illustrator.
Right.
And I draw out, my drawing is the worst. So she has to.
Yeah, but you must be giving her the ideas. I want it this way portrayed, right?
Yeah.
And she'll
So
put your ideas.
It's a give and take
Yeah.
relationship, and
Right.
mostly letting her do it.
Right. Yeah, let the expert do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would be one piece of advice that you would like to give to the aspiring writers, right? Like myself, I'm an actor and model. Sometimes I have to write something. There will be a lot of ideas in my head, right? But it's very difficult to put them on paper. So what would be one advice that you want to give people like me?
I would tell you, well, it's 2 things. First, write an outline. Don't think about writing the whole thing. No. The next, while it's all in my head, the next thing that I do is I just put an outline of the story. Then I can visualize, okay, this is how I'm gonna write it. Just write an outline and don't try to, I tell people all the time, just put it on paper. Don't worry about punctuation, capitalization, spelling.
Right.
Hey, just put it on paper. Put it on the paper, leave it. Don't try to correct it. Then come back later and write. Just write. Stop worrying about grammar and all that. That's why you have editors.
Right. Right.
Yeah, just get it out your head.
So I know I asked you a lot of questions, but is there one message you want to send out to our viewers?
I would tell them to never give up. That's the most important thing. You have to keep going. After we've been doing this for 5 years, yes, it gets hard. Especially when you look on and you see you sold no books in about 2 weeks or a month.
Yeah.
But we've gotten to a point now, we're selling multiple books in a day now. So it will change for you. Don't give up. We weren't expecting this pandemic.
Right.
That hurt us really bad because we were going out on the road and doing book shows, the book events. And that was a really big part of our business. Then everything had to shift to online. And it was hard. It's hard to get people to buy your book online. But now all of a sudden, we're selling books online.
Right.
Yeah. So don't give up.
Yes. So
Hope
don't
you-
give up. Get up every day with one foot ahead of the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great advice. I think all of us need to, we need to be attached to it just to get every day, just to get up every day, right? I'll take it to heart, saying never give up. Thank you, Terence. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure to have you here on the show. So for the viewers, I'll be back with another guest next time. Till then, thank you. Be safe.